Hello guys, this is Raj Pakhare, and in this video, create this effect in Fume effects. So this is quite simple effects, but a few of my friends wanted to make this effect, and they asked me, "Can you make a video on this?" So it's just a simple fire in the ring, and we're gonna use particle flow and Fume effects. So let's get started. So first of all, we'll need an emitter and a ring. So I'm gonna go in front view and create a circle. Place it in the center. Maybe I can reduce the size a bit. And first of all, I'm going to create a grid to have an idea how much the size or scale is going to be. So the trick is, don't make anything very small in the scene. Otherwise, you have to play a lot. You have to play with the parameters a lot to make the effect look good. So the best trick is at least make something similar to this grid size. So the scale of the Fume effects will be accurate and you don't have to play with the parameters a lot. Even though if you're not using feet or meters, that's fine. And we can start with a smaller grid, and later on, as we need, we can increase the size. So try to optimize it. And we're gonna need a emitter. So I'm gonna open particle flow. And we don't need these. So I'm gonna hide them to make some room. So first of all, we'll just create a standard particle flow, and I want it to be spherical. So rectangle, I can create a sphere. And one more thing, I'm going to change this viewport count to 100%. So we're going to see 100% particles in viewport. So I'm going to select this and go into animation constraints, path constraint, and click over here. So it's going to follow the path. Now if you want to change the position, if you want to start the emitter from here, you can just turn on the auto key, go into motion panel, scroll down, and you can find along the path percentage. So make it somewhere like this. So maybe it's 25, and at the end you can make it 125. So right now it's creating a complete loop. Alright, then what else we can do is play with the particle flow settings. What I want is, I don't want to use the speed right now, so I'm gonna just remove this. No need for rotation, no need for shapes. And we can reduce the size of the emitter a bit. So we want particles to be spawning out from here. So what we can do is create a test, spawn, and we're gonna create one more display. So I can just shift click and drag it to create a copy, to create another event, and drag over here. And just to let you know, the event is changing, I'm gonna change the colors. And let's play, deselect the particle flow so you can see the colors. So right now, as you can see, they're spawning and going exactly in the second event. And we're gonna add speed over here. So maybe I just want a normal speed, but I want it to spread in all directions. So I'm gonna say random 3D and reduce the speed. Okay, and we can, of course, we can add some variation. So as you can see, there are particles spawning, and this over here. So we don't want these particles, so we can just turn this off. Alright, and we can add an event to delete the particles. So we can just go into operator and say delete operator. But that should happen after the age test of the particle. So I'm gonna add a age. So right after like 5 frames of age of particles, they'll die. And of course, we want the birth to be till 100. Alright, so right now it's too fast, as you can see. If I go into time settings, it's not real time, so you can just turn it on. I just turn it off when I'm working on Fume effects. You just turn it off. So this is the actual speed now. And if you want more slower animation, you can just increase the number of frames. So maybe 200. So the particles will stop at 100 and the fire will start to keep burning. Something like that. Alright. So what these particles are going to do is they're going to be the fuel packet and they're going to burn in Fume effects as a fire. But we also want the fire to stay there. That's why we need this. So this is the static fire, which will be already present there. And this will be the active fire, which is just pushing out some particles. And if you want this fire to be less in size, you can just select the emitter, or you can just select over here and reduce the diameter. Alright, so in this way you can control the radius. And if you want this part to be more chaotic or something like that, you can just increase this speed. And this is random 30, it's going in all directions. So it looks cool when you see the fire moving over here in a chaotic way in the start. And we can just gonna name this as the main part, main fume, and this is a static. This is a static fume. Alright, so let's start with Fume effects. Of course, we're gonna go in particle flow and you can adjust it later on. So let's start with the basic stuff now. I'm gonna open the options. And the first thing we're gonna know is particle source. So create from list and create particle source, and we're gonna add this particle flow. Then you can directly click on the particles, it will ask for events. Right now we need both the events, so you can just select both the events. And you just need to turn on this option so you'll at least know what is the fuel size, Fume effects radius. And don't make it too large also, otherwise it will won't look that good. And this is okay. And while simulation is going on, you can just turn this off because this thing makes your scene heavy. I'm gonna just turn this off right now. We can add a variation a bit, and we're gonna modify the parameters. First of all, let's do a quick settings. What I usually do is reduce the minimum iterations, so make it 80 just for the fast preview purpose. And I definitely add opacity, so make it 8. Then add a turbulence a bit, so maybe 0.2. Reduce the scale, increase the frames as it's going to be a little faster. You can just reduce it also, you just have to play with it. And I increase the details to 3. So this is the first setting which I do, and then I simulate it. And of course you have to turn on the GPU preview, and we're gonna click on preview it. And you can reduce the size of this or move it here. So as you can see, the spacing is really bad. It's too high, too low quality. You can just it's 2 MB, so I can just stop this. And what you have to do is just reduce the spacing amount. I usually do the previews in like 100 MB or like 200 MBs. Of course, it depends on the scene. But still, like you can see, the particles are just drawing too much out. Maybe we can increase the number of particles. And it's too chaotic, we need to reduce the speed in the beginning. And we can spawn more particles. But just ignore this part, it's chopping off. This is just a preview. And we don't need this much smoke. So in the first preview, just observe things that what you can change. What are the things which you don't want? So maybe just the speed in the beginning, less smoke, maybe increase the number of particles. And it's quite static, so we need to increase the turbulence also. So let's start the simulation. First of all, go in particle flow. I'm gonna reduce the speed. Can just turn this off and reduce the size. Okay, so it's still chaotic, so I'm gonna reduce the speed. And I'm gonna reduce the variation too. And I want more particles. I'm gonna increase the offsprings to maybe 5 or something like that, so it will have more fuel over there. And we need some more action over here, so we can add a turbulence. So maybe 1. If you can reduce the scale a bit. For creating, you don't want smoke, so what you can do is turn off the smoke from here and just disable this channel. So we only have the fuel and the temperature. And over here you can just click on create smoke, fire create smoke, and you can play with the intensity. So maybe right now let's keep it 1. And what else do we wanted? Let's have a preview first of all. Of course, enable GPL preview. So it's much better than the previous one. Still there's a lot of smoke, so maybe we can make the smoke density to 0.5 or something, half the size. And maybe less than that. And we want more fire. So what we can do is we can increase the expansion, and we want the flames to rise a little higher. So for that we need to reduce the burn rate. I'm going to make it 20. Increase the variation in the fire, and we need more expansion. So this expands a bit. So maybe 1.6 or 7, something like that. I'm going to simulate that. Okay, that's much better. The fuel is expanding, the fire is rising. Just for the preview sake, you can just turn this off. It will be still counted in Fume effects. So it will hide the particles. It's coming pretty much good. I'm just gonna pause the video and let it simulate. Alright, the simulation is quite completed. As you can see, there's still more smoke, but it's up to us how much smoke you want to add. We can do that in the composition also. And definitely this is gonna be HD. So as you can see, the simulation is completed. It is always a good habit to render the Fume effects, render elements as a fire and smoke. You can just click on the add and just add Fume effects fire and smoke. I always use this, and I always use scanline rendering. Scanline has always worked perfectly for Fume effects with me, so I always use scanline and render these passes. So benefit of this is if you render this, you'll get 2 individual passes, the smoke pass and the fire pass. And in compositing software, you can edit this, and if you don't need smoke, you can just tone it down, or you can just remove it. So we have much more control in the post. And as you can see, there is a huge difference between the viewport preview and the render. So it's always a good habit to render it out and then check how much dense the fire is, how it's looking in the rendering actually. And you can tone it down. So it's looking quite dense, so you can just go into rendering, and in the fire, instead of using a single color, you can use a key mode and then edit it. So what I usually do is turn this completely black at the end, So you get more nice details in it. And pull this over here. It adds more contrast, as you can see. And then you can just play with the colors over here. So maybe if you want more red fire, and just tone it down to orange color. Or if you want to swap, you can just change this to over here. And you can move this over here or at the end. What I usually do is I don't play much with colors in the over here, and I do it in the post. So the thing is just try to create a good contrast between the fire. You can see much more detail. And we can of course add a little bit sharpness. The sharpness amount can be like 0.2 or something like that. So it will add a sharpness while rendering, and then in compositing which will get a much better result. And what I do is I always retone down the opacity of the fire and increase the color. It's much better. You can still tone down the fire. And as you can see, it's a very preview quality, it's very low quality. Still we're getting a much better result. You can just tone this down and reduce the opacity. And then once you're happy with the output, you can set the final grid size. I'm going to select the Fume effects, turn off the GPU preview, and we can increase the size of the grid now. And the height should be a lot. That's better. And then for the final settings, what we need to change is the spacing. Right, see, it depends on how much RAM you have. You have that much capacity to increase the quality, and the CPU will depend how much fast you're going to simulate. So right now I'm just making this video in a laptop. It's a gaming laptop, and for this kind of simulation is more than enough. And you need more quality, you can go around like 1 GB, 2 GB. And if it is like a very high quality shot, I usually go around 20 GB because I have a 32 GB RAM. But on this laptop, it's 16 GB, so I won't go that much. So I'm gonna just make it around 1 GB or something like that. And in that way, you can set it up the quality. Then what else we do? We'll go in the simulation. I increase this quality to 7 and increase this iterations to around 200. And yeah, that's it. And if there is too much noise, if there is too much details in the smoke or fire, you can just pump this up. If it is too noisy, you can just increase the size of the scale. And 3 detail is more than enough, but still if you need, you can just go to the 5. But there is not much difference, and there will be a lot of difference in the simulation. So it's better to just optimize your simulation so it renders faster, simulates faster, and you get a better result. So I'm gonna just put it on simulation and turn on the GPU preview, and I'm gonna be back. Alright, the simulation is done now. So it's a little bit heavy. Let's see. See, you're not able to scroll, so it's because of the GPU preview, and it's quite a heavy simulation for this graphics card. So if you need to preview this, so what you can do is you can just go into Edit and Tools, create preview animation, and the most important thing, make it just standard and just create a preview. So I've already created, so I'm just gonna play preview animation. As you can see, these lines are just because of the compression. We can use some another compression, but you get an idea. But this is not exactly how it will render, because as you have seen in viewport preview and the render, there's a little bit difference. So we can just go into any frame, just turn on this preview, and we can render it. I'm going to just set it to single, and for now we can just turn this rendering elements off, render it. So as you can see, it's rendering quite fast, and if you need some more quality, you can still increase it, reduce the spacing. As I told you, you can just go to 1 GB or 2 GB, that will be good. And right now it's like 1.3 GB, so maybe 2 GB, 3 GB simulation. Reduced spacing can give much more details. And after using After Effects, adding some glow and color correction, this is the output which you can get from the same simulation. So I've added a little bit red color in the smoke too. And still it's not high quality simulation, but if you use it creatively, you can create a logo animation or a template, something like that. So if you like the video, hit on the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to see more videos in the future. And if you want any certain tutorial or any kind of video which you need the most, you can just let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely make sure I'll make that kind of video. Alright then, see you next time.